Hey everyone, I am back again. This time I'm going to talk about making a junk journal. A junk journal is something that's made out of junk, and there are many different versions, and I'm going to address the easiest version in this little episode. Next episode I'm going to address a more complex version, and we'll get into that in a little bit later. But for this version, you're going to need like a heavyweight thread. I use a natural unbleached linen. It's an Irish linen. This is dyed red so that you'll be able to see it more easily in the video when I get up close and working with my hands. This is unwaxed. I suggest unwaxed over waxed because it's easier to work with, and you don't end up with a metric ton of wax on it that ends up bleeding into your work later. So a unwaxed linen thread. You can also use a DMC floss. That's perfectly acceptable for journals for your use. I'm also going to use a beeswax block. If you don't have a beeswax block, you could use a candle and just run your thread over a candle. You're also going to need a binder clip and some sort of advertising. This is a Starbucks Via advertising booklet. It's got, I think I counted like 12 pages, and it's saddle stitched or staple bound. And we're going to remove these staples and we're going to stitch it up in those holes. But you can follow along with a bunch of folded paper with 4 holes in it, evenly spaced. And you're going to use the same stitching technique with that. So if you want to do that, stack up your paper, fold it in half, make one hole on each end about 1 inch in or 1/2 inch in, and then another hole about 1/2 inch away from that, or another 2 holes, so that you end up with 4 holes evenly spaced along your inside spine. So the first step in this project is you're going to take your book and your binder clip and you're going to clip it together. And this is going to hold your pages in one spot while you do the next step. Alright, so from here what you want to do, you've got it clipped together, you want to remove these staples. And I'm just going to use my needle, which is a number 18 tapestry needle. I prefer tapestry needles because they are not as sharp as other needles. So I'm just picking that out, trying not to damage the pages too much, and trying not to stab my thumb in the process. Alright, so now what you want to do is measure out some thread. To measure out your thread, what you're going to do is you're going to take your thread and you're going to measure out 3 times the height of your book. So here's a piece of thread about 3 times the height of my book. Snip it off. And then to thread it, you're just going, or to wax it, you're just going to run it over either your candle or cake of wax 3 or 4 times, and the pressure of it is going to put just the right amount of wax to stiffen it and allow you to run it through your book easily. Now what you want to do is thread your needle, which is often the hardest part. Alright, once you have your needle threaded, you're going to start from the top hole and push your needle through. It's going to pull through fairly hard. You want to leave yourself a tail, hold that in place, and enter the next hole. The type of stitching that we're doing is called a figure 8 stitch, and it's an age-old pamphlet stitch that's been around for centuries. It's a really simple stitch. It's very sturdy. You can use this for a lot of pages and get a lot of use out of it. So then enter in the next hole, and then enter back into your final hole. So then, once you do that, you want to grab the ends and pull snug. Not too tight, because you don't want to rip any of the paper. So after you do that, you're going to go back to this hole and enter again. Go back out. See why they call it a figure eight? It goes in, out, in, and back up to the top. Back into this hole that you've already passed through once. And then you're back up to the top. You can get rid of the binder clip at this point, and very simply tie it off. Pull that nice and tight, and then you want to leave yourself about a 1/2 inch tail on each end. If you're really worried about the knot coming undone, you can put a drop of super glue on that, but it's not necessary. And there you go. A very simple single signature junk journal. That stitch will work with any bundle of paper, not just a junk journal. All you'll have to do is punch an even spacing of any number of holes. You can use an odd number or an even number. You just have to figure eight it around to figure out where to tie. So my next episode is going to be about decorating this particular journal.